Hi friends, it's Paige Evans and I am so excited to share this process video with you. It's been a minute since I've done one here on my YouTube channel. I've started doing Make With Me Monday Live, so we create a layout together from start to finish every Monday, but I would love to start making more process videos too. This one is made in collaboration with Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine. I am doing a challenge in their Facebook group, and they are doing a challenge in my Facebook group. And together you can win gift certificates to our shop. So my challenge in the Scrapbook and Cards Today Facebook group is to create a butterfly from folded paper strips. And the challenge posted by Scrapbook and Cards Today in my Facebook group is to look through the brand new Spring and Summer 2024 issue, find a layout to scrap lift, and post it in their gallery. So I'll leave all of the details in the description so you can find the challenges and play along, and I can't wait to see what you create. So back to this layout, I am choosing this light purple background for my background. It's a 12 by 12 paper from the project pad, which is available at Joann stores. And then I'm going through the Blooming Wild papers, the 12 by 12 papers, and trimming 1/2 by 4-inch strips of pattern paper. I'm trimming 2 from each so that I can mirror the patterns on both the left and right side of the butterfly. There is going to be a cut file or a printable, so you can print it out, cut it out, trace it, and create the butterfly body in the middle, or just eyeball it and cut out your own. But I will also leave a link to where you can download that cut file to have the machine cut it out for you or cut it out by hand. So I am focusing mostly on solid pattern papers, but also some of the more colorful floral ones like this, or plaid, etc. I am not going to cut patterns from the darkest bluish purple or the darkest greens. I'm going to keep this more pastel and light and bright. So you can see I'm just continuing to cut these 1/2 inch by 4-inch strips of pattern paper. I did cut out that green floral paper, but I didn't end up using it. So this is a perfect layout to use your scraps if you're holding on to those small bits of pattern paper, cutting them into 1/2 by 4-inch strips, and then we'll fold them in half to create the folded paper strips, which gives the butterfly some extra oomph and dimension. So I am just showing you exactly which pattern papers I'm cutting these strips from. So if you want to make your page the same, but I always love seeing the variations. I have 18 collections with American Crafts right now, and I love seeing when you take these ideas and switch collections. Doesn't even have to be mine. You can use Simple Stories or Pink Fresh Studio, whatever. I always love seeing your results and the variations and how you take these ideas and change and adapt them. You could also make the strips wider. A 1/2 inch is quite narrow, and you'll see as we go along how there was a lot of gaps left in my butterflies, so you could alleviate that by making the strips wider. So instead of a 1/2 inch, maybe you could make them 1 inch by 6 inches. So just by changing the width of the pattern papers, you're also going to get different results. There are a few different pattern papers in Blooming Wild that have sections of pattern papers, like this scalloped paper. Look at all of these different patterns that it offers. So I did trim some 1/2 inch by 4-inch strips from different colors of the patterns on this pattern paper. So there's lots of different places and ways that you can get pattern paper strips in all of the colors. So just go through your collections or go through Blooming Wild and find the colors and patterns that speak to you. They don't have to be exactly the same. I'm using the whole entire rainbow of colors except for the darkest greens and blues and purples, but you could just narrow it to 3 colors like pink, yellow, and orange. While there isn't very much orange in this collection, kind of have to search for it in the ombre papers. But anyway, you want to end up with a whole bunch of these pattern paper strips. And I actually do end up making more in the end than what I just cut right now. The next step is adding liquid glue on the back side and then pinching the paper pieces together. Some of my paper strips were shorter than 4 inches, and so all I did was bend up not exactly halfway. I just folded up the bottom a little bit to make it about a 2-inch strip. And I'm using my favorite liquid glue, which is Barely Art Precision Craft Glue, adding just a tad across the back of the top, and then folding the paper strips. And I'm not creasing where it's folded so that it has dimension. So here is the butterfly body. I've cut it from a dark blue floral paper, and I will leave the cut file and template link in the description so you can download this too. I'm using a ruler to find the center of this purple background paper. I love the project pad because it includes color papers to match Blooming Wild exactly. So finding 6 inches, I used foam squares to add it in place, so there's some dimension and shadows. This page is going to have a lot of texture and depth. And I want to place these clustered together in like colors. So what I mean by that is adding all of the pinks together and then all of the yellows together, all of the greens, all of the blues, all of the purples, and then I kind of just work in the rainbow papers, so the papers that are on a white background, just add them into the mix. So I'm speeding this up so that you can see the placement. You could also place them in a random rainbow order, so not clustered together by color. And just moving them around. I'm not gluing anything down yet. I want to figure out the placement first before I glue things down. I'm mirroring exactly, so whatever I placed on the right, I'm going to place on the left. So it's not exact because nothing is glued down and it's just my own 2 hands that are making this, so it's not going to be perfectly symmetrical, perfectly mirrored, and that's okay. I am just creating a scrapbook page, and in the end, I am happy with the way it turns out. So I hope you're excited to try this technique. In case anything gets moved or nudged, I take a picture to refer back to. I am going to use this 3x4 inch photo of my niece Daisy. I went to visit my sister and her family in Las Vegas a couple years ago, and we went to Joanne, which is where they had my Splendid collection. So not Blooming, well, they do have Blooming Wild right now, but this was a couple years ago, so it was Splendid, and it was so fun to show her my name on those papers. Hey Daisy, who's that? It's your Aunt Paige. And so I took a picture of her holding up a butterfly paper, which I thought was perfect for this page featuring a large butterfly. I have my phone open off screen so I can refer back to. I've glued down all of the paper strips on the right side, and now you can see I am gluing the paper strips on the left side, adding just a dab on the bottom so that I can tuck additional paper strips underneath. So that's important. If you add liquid glue across the entire back side, you won't be able to tuck paper strips underneath. And then you'll just be frustrated and you'll be tearing your papers trying to tuck things underneath. So just a dab at the bottom so you can tuck multiple layers of these paper strips in place. Pressing it down just to flatten it a tad, but I'm not creasing the edges of those paper strips so that it has some dimension. I am adding my photo. I've cut this hello there floral oval cardstock sticker in half, so I'm left with just the hello, and adding that at the top of the photo, and then coming in with some additional embellishments such as butterflies and birds. So scattering these across the page, butterflies on butterflies on butterflies, and then pops of some birds, other winged creatures. So these are found in the cardstock stickers and the ephemera die cuts, as well as the floral die cuts, which are still available online, probably not for much longer. My next collection with American Crafts called Adventurous comes out any month now, this spring/summer. Tucking in some cardstock button stickers into the mix, tone on tone, so green on green, peach on peach, yellow on yellow for some additional texture. So this little butterfly I feel like is getting lost, so I'm adding it, but I decide to change up the position in the end. So when I was placing my butterfly body, I had more space at the top. And so to fill in that gap, I'm grabbing this scalloped paper from the project pad, trying to decide if I want purple or blue because it's like an ombre paper. And I think I'm going to go with this more blue instead of purple because the purple kind of just blends into the background and I want it to stand out. So I am fussy cutting this scallop border. I have seen people hand stitch these scallops for a beautiful textured background. So that's why you need to have 2 of these project pads. One where you can fussy cut the scallops and one where you can hand stitch the background. Hand stitching is always optional. You don't have to ever do hand stitching. I just love the way it looks. So now this is a nice border accent across the top and helps keeps your eye on the page instead of just floating right off. I'm using a purple pen to draw journaling lines and then handwriting my journaling on top. So really I thought I was done with this page, but overnight, I had taken pictures and I was just like, I need something more. So I thought, well, maybe white paint splatters. So I grabbed my white acrylic paint and mixed some into the cap along with water so it's a little more splashable. Covered the photo so I don't get any paint on the photo and then splashed in 3 places to create a visual triangle. So this is just another layer of interest. It's optional. You definitely don't have to add white acrylic paint, but I love that additional layer of something something. So again, overnight I decided I wanted to fill in these gaps. It just didn't feel finished. After I had taken a photo of the layout and edited the photo, it felt a bit sparse. And so I cut additional pattern paper strips from there's a rainbow burst paper, so I got a few from the rainbows, and then I cut a few from patterned tags, and then decided to fill in some of these gaps with these additional folded paper strips. And then I was really happy and satisfied with the results. It didn't feel as sparse. Just tucking these extra folded pattern paper strips really helps fill out the butterfly. I did have to gently tear some of the paper strips in order to tuck them behind, but you don't see that, so that's okay. So here I am, again, just filling in some of these gaps, still trying to do the clusters of colors, so the pinks in the pink, the greens in the green, yellow in the yellow, and I've kind of got this cluster of the white background papers down here at the bottoms. And so again, mirroring whatever I did on the right, I did on the left, and now the page feels finished. I've got a really full and fun butterfly made of these folded pattern paper strips, and I'm excited to see how you take this idea and make your own page. Be sure to upload your finished pages in the Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine Facebook group for a chance to win a gift certificate to their shop, and be sure to check out the challenge in my Facebook group as well, which is to scraplift a layout from the spring and summer issue of Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine 2024. Let me know if you have any questions. Thank you so much for joining, and I hope to see you again real soon in another process video, or join me for Make With Me Monday. Have a happy scrappy day.